Hi there. I'm sitting here in Fecamp on the north coast of France, waiting for weather. It's been pretty lousy for the last 24 hours. Last night it was forecast to be gusting to 32 knots. I woke up with the fender squeaking and looked at the dial and it said 45 knots. So I'm certainly glad I wasn't out sailing. This port is very well protected, very calm, very good. So there really are no there really are no issues. Excuse the cough. I need to get back to Boulogne, my home port, and so I need to do a bit of passage planning on how to get back. Okay, so here's this is Fecamp, where I'm sitting at the moment, and this is Boulogne here, which is where I need to get to. Fecamp is absolutely splendid. You can see I had the GPS dongle attached, and there is Golden Haze sitting on her quay. There's the port. As you can see, it's pretty clear. Okay, it says 1.4 meters just there, 1 meter at the entrance, 1 meter 5, but though that is chart datum, so anything off low water springs you can get in and out of this port. The passage to Boulogne from Dieppe is fairly straightforward. Dieppe being a large all-weather port, car ferry terminal. The car ferries actually come in there. Yeah, maybe I should just move that point off Dieppe just to outside. That's the car ferry terminal, and the marina, in fact, is here. This is the marina, and it is big marina. Absolutely no problems. Depth is absolutely not an issue in Dieppe. Plenty of water all the way in. The one thing I do when I'm setting my courses is I try to be really sensible and go through them inch by inch on CMAP, because it's very tempting just to sort of bang in a few waypoints and not look at the depth. So anyway, there's Golden Haze sitting in Fecamp. I know that I can get out of here at any state of the tide except low water springs, and we're on neaps, so that doesn't make any difference. So I will come out of Fecamp, and I notice here there's the two jetties leading into it. There are shallows just there, so, and all this green stuff is shallow. So I've put in a waypoint there. Depart, because it's important when I come out that I clear these shallows here. I don't want to make a total fool of myself or bend Golden Haze's thing. So if I go further along this track towards Dieppe, it's all 13 meters, 11 meters, 15 meters, 15 meters, that seems fine, until I've got to a waypoint here, Dieppe, west, approach. When I'm naming these waypoints on CPN, I try to always name them with the port, so that in the list of waypoints they're then all clustered together. You get all the Dieppe ones all together. I then got another waypoint in here, Dieppe West exit, and then that clears me the shallows off Point Dieppe, I guess you pronounce that, Dieppe, I guess, and that gets me into Dieppe. The return journey is somewhat affected by the tidal streams, so I'm making good use of my channel Tidal Atlas of the English and Bristol Channels, which is what I've had for decades. I've had this for years. Very good book. Now, the way the tides are running, I'm going to be punching into the tide. First of all, I need to go back to Dieppe because I made the first of my little videos about pilotage into these ports, and Dieppe was the first one, and it really just didn't happen. I didn't have the cameras in the right positions, I didn't switch them on, all sorts of things went wrong. So I need to do the entry to Dieppe again. So the next mission is to get from Fecamp to Dieppe, which is a distance of 30 miles. So that's about 6 hours, maybe 7 hours from here to Dieppe. It doesn't actually matter what time I get into Dieppe because it's an all-tides port, big place. The car ferry indeed goes in there. I can get into Dieppe at any state of the tide, so I can leave here. When it suits, when the weather's nice, and just do about 6 hours round to there. I will have a look in a moment at the Tidal Atlas and see what that's doing against me, but frankly I'd rather be dry than get there half an hour or an hour earlier. Having got into Dieppe, I could do one hit back to Boulogne, and the distance of that is some 52 miles. And the bad news is, because it is high water Dieppe, I will be punching the tide virtually all the way. What I really wanted to do is to be low water, and then the tide will carry me up the English Channel towards Boulogne, it'll carry me up the channel towards Boulogne. It's not going to do that. I'm going to have the tide against me. And although it's neap tides at the moment, I'm still going to have something of the order of a knot and a half against me the whole way, hour by hour. So that means that in Golden Haze at 2,300, 2,400 RPM, I can make 5 knots in calm water. So say I motor sail the distance, the 50 odd miles, 52 miles, 53 miles. In fact, because the tide's going to be against me virtually the whole of the way, I'm only going to actually make 4 knots over the ground, and so that is 4 10s are 40, 4 12s are 48, 4 13s, yeah. It's going to take me 12 or 13 hours to get from Dieppe to Boulogne, and that feels quite hard work. So I've decided I can go into Le Tréport on Sunday, which from Dieppe is a distance on my screen here of 13 miles, and at most that's 3 hours. The bad news about Le Tréport, and I've never been into Le Tréport before, so I do need to be a little bit careful. It's tidal, it dries, big drying entrance. There's apparently a load of currents that run across the entrance mouth and the entrance into the lock, which I'll find out about. High water on Sunday, which is where I would leave Dieppe, go to Dieppe on Saturday, head for Le Tréport Sunday morning. High water is 9:30, and the last time I can go in there is 12:30. So it's, according to one book, it's 3 hours either side of high water. According to Block Marine, which I must say I have found, Block Marine, somebody gave this is last year's copy, 2019. A nice French guy gave it to me, and frankly I have found it far better and more useful than my English Channels pilot, which also covers the North French coast. I'm sure the English Channels pilot is absolutely brilliant for the English ports. For the French ports, its information is sometimes a bit iffy, and I would trust the French thing. So I've been looking at Le Tréport in my Block Marine. Sun up is about 7:30ish. So my intention is to leave at 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30. About an hour after high water, I should be at Le Tréport. So that's my intention for Le Tréport. From Le Tréport to Boulogne is 41 miles. So according to the information on my CMAP, on which I do all my planning, I do all my planning on CMAP, and I then either transfer it on the chip if it's very complicated to my Raymarine plotter, or I just use the basic information to put the stuff into the plotter. I reckon it is about 10 and a half hours from Le Tréport to Boulogne at 4 knots, because again, although I can make 5 knots by putting the motor on and just going for it, I'm going to be punching into the tide, and the tide, according to the Tidal Atlas, is going to be, when it's not hitting me on the head, is going to be knocking in at around a knot against me all the whole way. It doesn't actually matter what time I get to Boulogne. If I get there after dark, it's not really a problem, because it's an all-weather port, it's an all-tides port, and all I have to do is get myself into the avant-port plaisance, the marina part of Boulogne, and park up there for the night. All this has been predicated by the weather forecast. Yeah, I want to get back to Boulogne, but equally I don't want to get myself beaten up. I don't want to be out there in gusts of 32, which could, like last night, turn into 45. You know, I'm sailing by myself, and I'm not quite as nimble as I was last year, so I'm going to wait for it to be nicer weather, which is promised at the moment on Saturday. Out of interest, I use 2 apps for this. I use Weather Online Free, which is absolutely brilliant, and that tells me that today we're in for gusts of up to 32 knots all day, and the same is true on Friday, where it is a northwesterly 4, which is not quite so good, but hey, it'll do. It would do, except it's also predicting gusts to 32 knots. I also use an app called Meteo Marine, which is a French app. Is the French system. It's also in English. It has wind arrows. As you can see, the next app along is a marvellous app called Tides Near Me. Tides Near Me enables me to put in place where I am, and I've put in Fecamp at the moment, and it tells me when high water or low water is, and that's great. The passage plan for Saturday, where the forecast is northwesterly 4, northwesterly 3, northwesterly 3, is to leave Fecamp in the morning, and if I can sail it, I will. I'll sail it and get round Dieppe before dark. Sunday, which I'm planning now because I'll probably be tired when I get in, and by the time I've transferred the videos and things, it's it's a bit I'm tired and I probably need a meal. Sunday, Le Tréport, as I said, which is where I would head to, 13 miles. It's high water at 9:30. I will leave Dieppe at sunrise. I'll set the alarm clock for 6:30, 7 o'clock, clean my teeth and go. Golden Haze, which is a Beneteau 323, sails much better than she motors. I can sail her on a reach. She'll easily do 6 knots, 7 knots in any sort of a breeze at all. Absolutely brilliant sailor. Under power, not so good, and as I say, I need to run her at about 2003. RPMs to make 5 knots through the water. So, given that passage to Le Tréport is going to have some tidal stream against me, I'm reckoning on 4 hours to get there. The next morning, I need to move along because the meteo services are all predicting another lot of gales coming in. So I need to move it along, and I need to head out on the 40-mile hit to Boulogne. 10 hours at 4 knots. If I can get out of Le Tréport where its high water is 10:30, which means I can probably get out there 9:30, 8:30, 7:30. Probably 7:30, which is dawn, I can be leaving Le Tréport, which will be good. And for the next 3 hours, I'll have fair tide, although it'll be the weaker part of the tide. I'll have fair tide carrying me up to Boulogne. I'll then have 6 hours of foul tide, knocking a knot off my pace, and then I'll have a couple of hours to get in there. I hope you found the planning bit interesting. I hope it's helpful. It's what I do. It isn't necessarily RYA. I've never done any courses in my life. Well, that's not quite true. 1,000 years ago, I did a Yachtmaster's RYA course in Earl's Court on land. It was called the Yachtmaster course. It was all on land. My course was run by a brilliant teacher, a guy called Dan Haas, really clever, talented navigator. And Dan taught me how to do DR. Basically, he taught the class dead reckoning. He also taught about secondary ports and tidal streams, and how to use a tidal atlas, how to tie a bowline, how to recognize all your flags, which I don't think anybody does now, and how to do Morse code, which I know nobody does now. My goodness, this world has moved on. But other than that, all my navigation is self-taught, like reading books by Mary Blewett, if you want to do celestial navigation, Mary Blewett is the person to read. And if you want to learn about just DR, Mary Blewett teaches you about that. The trouble nowadays is that with OpenCPN to plan on, GPS to guide you, all this seems a bit, all DR stuff seems a bit old hat. Although having said that, I was going around the Cherbourg Peninsula about a week ago, and all my navigation stuff went down. Absolutely everything. And so I got my telephone out and I plotted my way around the peninsula using Marine Vessel, or Vessel Marine, the app which tells you where your boat is, because I couldn't really, it was a misty day, so I couldn't really see the peninsula. I just needed to know when I got around the peninsula and how far south I was, so I could turn in for Saint Vast. Very little wind, no big issue, but it was a lesson to me, and I'm going to install a secondary a backup system for my thing, which actually will consist of I have got a dongle on my laptop, but the problem was I hadn't got a car charger for the laptop, so I just kept the last hour and a half for entering Saint Vast, which is quite rocky and needs a little bit of attention. If you think about it, if your electronics goes, you actually need to be able to do DR. Anyway, enough pontificating, enough waffling about. Hope this video has been of some interest or some use. Fair winds, safe landfalls, and I'm now going to record stuff on the laptop about this planning. Bye.